I was in customer support, it will be a whirlwind. You guys, in 1 week of me in customer support, you'd be working in a different entity. I don't have time now to be in every department at every moment. I don't want to have to. You guys have to do it. Amazon, number 1. Chick-fil-A, number 2. Then you ask yourself, Apple, number 3. Why is Chick-fil-A number 2? That's the research. And then you form a hypothesis of what they're doing. Go on Amazon. I mean, like I'm saying, I feel like I understand what Warren Buffett means. How could you be at a company for a long time, or a week even, or even a day? I felt like it was the first thing I would do. Just be like, I'm going to look up who's good at this already, because one of the principles is cutting the learning curve. What do you want to learn on? I saw the great movie last night, Joy. It's a true story of Joy Mangan or something, Manganon. She made $50 million and has 100 patents. QVC, she made that mop that you wring out by just pulling it. And she, one of the interesting things was she just reverse engineered what worked. It wasn't that hard. You know, you reverse engineer stuff and then you cut the learning curve. So that's one of the 10 commandments in this company. Cut the learning curve. Nobody's allowed to learn at their own. Oh, what I was going to say is there's a scene in it, the best scene in the movie that very few people get, is when Bradley Cooper is talking to, who was he talking to? Oh, there's a guy who worked for him at QVC, and he kept repeating the same thing. Do blankety blank blank. And he was walking with Jennifer Lawrence, and he turned and he says, you know why I always say everything 9 times? Because the average person doesn't start listening until you tell them 9 fucking times. That's how pathetic people are. I am not that way. You will learn if you're ever around me. I find 1 time, that's why the first time I trained with Henry Gracie, the jiu-jitsu, he said, you're the fastest learner I've ever taught in my life. Because I just listened, I put my guard down, and I'm like, his grandpa invented jiu-jitsu. Let me go into a space mentally where I'm a sponge. Why? You can't learn 9 times. I learn 9 times faster than people. Doesn't mean you don't have to be 9 times smarter. It's just 9 times faster, which means what takes people 90 years, which is a full lifetime, I can learn in 10 years. You talk about the greatest superpower in the world. To be able to take what a human takes a lifetime, that means if you guys could get that skill, at 100, you'd be the equivalent of a 900-year-old average person. And a person at 900, even the dumb-ass person in the world, will figure out how to have a good life. But they need 900 years, which you don't get. That's why one of the most famous philosopher terms of all time is art is long and life is short. Art meaning skills to do stuff, the art of customer support, the art of jiu-jitsu. So art is long and life is short. What he was saying is, the reason people have bad lives is because to get a good life takes a long time, but you don't get a long time. Almost everybody will be a millionaire by 150 if you do the math. If you save $1,000 a year starting at 21, you'll be a millionaire at 150. Easy. But art is long, meaning 150, but life, you ain't only going to get 80 years. And even then, your prime is so short if you do the prime. The prime of depending on who you ask, male or female, females have more condensed prime cycles. I know people get mad when I say that, but biologically, a woman can be my grandma's 97 and she's still, in a way, in her prime, but she's not in her prime. My grandma wouldn't be like, hey, I'm in my prime at 97. Men can maybe have kids till 60. So maybe, forget biology, but just mental prime, your brain really starts to suffer in 50s and 60s. And it doesn't get full power at 14, and maybe at 25 you hit. So at 25, maybe you got 25 to 60. But shit, lots of people die at 40. The guy who invented basically the modern internet, he made $1 billion company in 8 years at 30. And, the damn bells are crying. And he made a company at 22 with his MIT professor. He was killing it, and then not too long ago, when I started as an entrepreneur, the same year, he got on he was gonna fly to see his wife, but then he got his flights mixed up, and he wanted to see his wife and daughter early, so he left at 8 in the morning instead of the afternoon, and he got on a fucking plane in Boston, and he got on that plane, and he was an ex-Israeli special forces dude, and he was sitting in first class in the front because he was a big guy, and a dude pulled out a box cutter and reached over the thing and slit his throat. That was the first man to die in 9/11. And so life's short, dude. He made $1 billion. He had to have wife, family, or $1 billion company, wife, family, but he only got 31 years. And he only got that 22 to 31. He didn't even get to enjoy his shit. Steve Jobs built this monster thing. He was dead before Apple. I mean, Apple was big, but Apple's Apple. Even Steve Jobs, if he could have cut the learning curve, he pissed off that whole board. They kicked him out for 10 years. If he could have that as 10 years back to take everything Apple's doing now, he could have done maybe 10 years earlier, which means he had a decade longer to enjoy that stuff. So the penalty is on you. I'm already learning this. So all of you that are slow learners, sometimes people want to be stubborn. I'm like, you're going to get your own punishment. I can bring down the hammer on you, but ultimately I won't. I'll just move on. But you will be in a hell of your own making, which is the hell of only doing great things when it's too late to enjoy them, which is what everybody, look in Beverly Hills. You show me young dudes driving a Ferrari. There's none unless they inherited their money. There's none. I know a shitload of old dudes, but do you want to be an 80-year-old dude driving a Ferrari? Going after, hooker girls or whatever? No. So each of you got a choice. I'm telling you, I can tell people's pace. It's a simple question. You just ask them. You in customer support, have you Googled who's the best customer support? If the answer is no, you are on a 9-to-1 ratio. So every hope and every dream you have, you're going to get it. Multiplied times 9, times whatever you think you're going to get. And you don't want that. Father Time, as Charles Barkley says, is undefeated. Nobody's defeated. People have defeated cancer. They've defeated bankruptcy. You defeated lose all your money. You defeated Cole Hatter got paralyzed and he overcame it and can walk again. Yeah. Time is the teacher. I always say, time's the teacher of last resort. And Mother Nature teaches, if you think I'm mean and harsh, you have no idea. Time has no remorse. The Aborigines is just like, everyone dies. Bubonic plague, some places 5 out of 6 people died, families. Just decimation. There's nothing. There was no intervention by whatever you believe in. Just cold, hard consequences. So readjust the beauty of it is, it's the easiest thing to learn. It's mostly an acquiescence to humility. That's why I say 1, 2, 3. Awareness, adaptability, and humility. That's the first 3. It's the 67 steps. I should have called the 3 steps because no one can ever get past the first 3. Nobody. Dude, there's nobody. I've worked with Maya for 15 years. She's still struggling with the first 3. I'm not 15 years. 7 years. Still dying on the first 3. I'm like, Maya, don't you want to be knocking out number 64? Think of how badass you'd be if you're through 67 frameworks of thought. People still done with the first 3 because they're not humble enough. People are like, when you tell people they're stubborn, they kind of get like, think they're awesome. I'm like, that's like someone telling you you stink. If someone ever tells you you stink, you don't want to be like, yeah, I'm that stinky dude. If someone's like, your breath is nasty. If a girl ever tells you your breath is nasty, go brush your teeth, floss, go to the doctor, get fluoride, because you ain't never getting what you want if you stink. And that's why I mean people are stubborn. They're like, well, Ty, I just learned the hard way. I'm kind of stubborn. I'm like, no, okay. To me, you're saying, I smell, I'm the nastiest, stinky person. If someone accuses me of stubbornness, I kind of like take it like, that is a freaking thing you don't want to call me. If you say, and it's not even stubborn, it's not adaptable. I'm adaptable. That's what I was saying with you guys. Even the Biz Bodyguard, you guys are struggling. If always I ain't there at 4 o'clock for trainers, don't schedule them at 4 o'clock. How's that make any sense? If I always show up at the gym at 5 o'clock, no matter what the day is then why would you schedule? Today I'm scheduled at 2:30. I'm going, that's the opposite of adaptability. Instead of roll, because last time we did it at 4, then you didn't even roll the right direction. You roll in the worst direction. Makes no sense. So sometimes I feel like it's the whole world dumb. I know that's a very arrogant thing to say, and every time I say it, I feel arrogant, but I'm like, the facts. That's how Warren Buffett felt. He's like, I'm gonna come out of school, everyone's gonna be smart. Everyone's gonna know how to read a financial report. Everyone's gonna know how to value a company. Everyone's gonna know how to buy, and then it's gonna be impossible for me to buy good companies. And then he's just like, okay, I'll buy this company. I'll buy this company. Bank of America, or what was the one? Bank of America is going broke. He's like, I'll buy 10% of Bank of America. This $2-3 trillion company. He picks them up when they're distressed asset. Where's all the other? There's lots of smart people. No, he's smarter, and it's because he's adaptable. All those things, man. He's using his brain. So you guys got to get like that. And then he's not only do you have a good life, because he was rich at like 30. So, you know, he came out of school 27 or whatever, but he was killing it at 30, and then he kept going up. He didn't become a billionaire until he was in his 50s, but he had a lot of money. And then you live a cool life. I mean, that dude has lived a cool life from, he liked going to college. He had a mentor, Benjamin Graham. He had a cool life from 18 to, he's 85. He still says, I tap dance out of bed. Supposedly, I'm going to be at this thing with him tomorrow. I don't know if I'll get to meet him, but that's a guy that not only killed it quick and knocked it out quick, but then had 50 years to enjoy it. He has his own private jet. He does anything. You know what you can do when you have $72 billion? You have no idea. And he's got a $300 billion company. He has $40 billion in cash. He's like, how would you sleep? He says you can sleep well at night when you have $40 billion in cash. In cash. Just think, you start running through the exercises of what you can do with $70,000 million. Just think of that number. He's like, I gave up on it. He's like, most of my money's down in the basement, stock certificates. He's like, he pays himself the minimum salary he can pay. And it's $70 million a year. It's the minimum. So that's the reward. He's smart. Not all of us could be the next Warren Buffett, but you could be 100% of what, you could be a 100th of 1%. 1% of Warren Buffett, you know, is already is basically $1 billion. You don't need to be 1%. 1% of 1% is enough. You know, it's basically $100 million. He's not that much smarter. He says if you have an IQ over 130 or maybe 120, he says sell the rest. It's not really that necessary. And we're pretty much hiring everybody here got over 120 in the whole company because we do that cognitive test. Nobody's getting through that's not 120 or 130. So please, don't torture me because that's how I feel sometimes. And it makes me not want to help you guys. I feel, Joel Salatin used to say, I don't mind carrying a man, but I don't want him to drag his feet. So I'm willing to show you guys stuff. I know you're working and helping me too, but you're getting paid, which all this stuff in a fair world, you would fucking work for free. I am telling you. I don't do any free internships because it'll get too much flack, but I worked for Joel Salatin for basically 2 years, and I lived in a 8 by 12 place. It was, you know, it was basically from Julifer there. It had no heat, no water, no toilet. It had a bucket for 2 years. Although a bucket, man, take out your pee and dump it in a composting thing. And I woke up at whatever, 5 in the morning, worked till 9 at night. Manual labor for 14 hours. And I made $300 a month. And he was here, and I was like, Joel, I realized you only paid me $300 a month. But he gave me food and stuff. Eggs, that's what I got. The cracked eggs we couldn't sell. So I used to eat 18 eggs for breakfast we would eat. And I said, you only paid me $300 a month when he was just here. And he goes, that was way too much. So I'm saying, and nobody here making $300 a month, and no one here working as hard. But I learned very fast. And Joel said, he's had 400 people come after me. He's like, you're the only one. He just told me this. The only one that timed himself doing the chores on each activity so I could analyze if I was getting better. He said, it's funny, Ty. I have 400 people come through. Harvard grad, Ivy League. Nobody ever thought to buy a timing. I had a little timer. I forgot about that. I used to wear it around my neck. Do chores. We had to move chicken pens. I had to carry 2 tons of water every morning. 2 tons at night. It was a lot of water. I used to be strong as shit. I have vestiges of the strength, but farm strength is the real deal. But it was worth it. I will go back and pay $50,000 for that or $100,000 for that, you know? So everybody here, if you want me to help you, I gotta feel like people are like, if I'm like, hey, what's the best customer support thing? You cannot give me a blank stare. It ain't gonna cut. I know myself. I've learned at this point, I know myself. If I lose, if I'm like, this fucker's a dumbass, it takes me a lifetime to get back to where I'm like, because that violates the 6 7 steps, is worth it in. I have to think, do I want to invest my time in people that are dragging their feet? I don't. I'm already at that place. I'm like, that's a bad deal. That's called WTRs, welfare trade-off ratios. So anytime the ratio gets whack job, you back away. Anytime you always buy dinner for your friend and they never buy dinner and never pay, you just back off because you're carrying them. And it's not fair. You can carry them if they have a heart attack or they're in the hospital, but then they should pay you back when they come back. Once they're, that's Conrad Hilton, great story, founder of Hilton Hotels, Paris Hilton's great-great-grandfather. He had a whole chain of hotels. The Depression hit in 1929, lost all of them. 80% of hotels in the United States shut down. He had one left in Dallas that was about to go broke, or Texas somewhere, and he couldn't pay for the food, for like room service. They would have, the farmers would bring milk and all this, and one dairy farmer came to him and he said, hey man, I need to get paid. And Conrad Hilton said, I have no money. Everybody's going broke. But he said, if you give me the milk for free and supply the food so I can have food at my hotel, one day I'm going to pay you back. And that guy was like, okay, and gave him the milk and all that. And over time, over the years, Conrad Hilton turned into the wealthiest man, I think, in America. And he paid that dude, I think that guy became a millionaire. He gave him shares in the company. So that's welfare trade-off ratio. It's like this guy was bringing a lot of value to Conrad Hilton, and then Conrad Hilton gave it back. But we live in a world now where people want to take and not give. And so some of it's simple. I'm not, customer support, I'm not asking you guys, have you, done a VRIN score SWOT analysis of, I'm just saying, did you ever Google customer support if you work in customer support? We can't go that low. I'm not going any lower level tutor. I'm not a tutor either. I already decided. I don't tutor. Tutor is like where you learn 9 times 9, 81. A tutor comes every day. Like, do you remember 9 times? Hire your own tutor or tutor each other. I'll come in, I'll bring you high level knowledge that you're not going to learn anywhere else. And then your thing is, you got to learn it quick because I'll get frustrated and just move on. I'm like, I ain't teaching this again. So, you get one time, maybe 2. I'm not doing the Jennifer Lawrence 9 time thing. No, and no. I've actually tested that, by the way. It's the definitive formula for having a shitty life. I tested that one. It's bad if you are around people that are slow learners. For me, it's like the formula. If someone want to create hell for me, it'll be like a world. I'm like down, I die, I go down to Hades, and I'm there. And I gotta train people. And every day they wake up and forgot what I taught them yesterday. Oh, dude, I would just be like, that is 7th hell for me. So the 7th chamber or whatever, Dante's Inferno. This is the bottom. So if I got control over it, and I always tell people, if you put me in hell, I'm gonna put you in hell. So that's fair is fair. So no putting me in hell, and then I won't put you in hell. So this is enough for this. You can use some of this for accelerator.